Welcome back, gardeners and soil lovers. If you've ever peeked under the surface of your garden bed, you've probably noticed the silent workers that keep everything thriving, earthworms. These little creatures are often called the intestines of the earth because they digest organic matter and leave behind nutrient-rich castings that plants absolutely love. But here's a question many gardeners wonder. When given the choice, do worms prefer lush grass clippings or wild, scrappy weeds? The answer might surprise you, and understanding it could completely change how you feed your soil. Let's start with what we know about earthworms. These creatures aren't picky eaters in the sense that they'll consume almost any decaying organic matter. But just like us, they do have preferences, and some foods give them more energy, nutrition, and comfort than others. In your compost pile or directly in the garden, worms will migrate toward what benefits them most. So, where do grass clippings and weeds fall on their menu? Grass clippings are the first thing many gardeners think to add to a compost pile. They're abundant, easy to collect, and loaded with nitrogen, a nutrient essential for rapid decomposition. To earthworms, fresh grass clippings are like a buffet of tender, soft greens that are easy to break down. But here's the catch. Too much fresh grass can heat up quickly as it decomposes, sometimes reaching temperatures that are too hot for worms to handle. In fact, a steaming pile of fresh-cut lawn can be almost like a furnace, and earthworms will steer clear until things cool down. Once grass clippings have settled and dried a little, though, the story changes. Worms begin to move in and feast. The thin blades break down quickly, providing them with moisture and nutrients. Even better, grass clippings add to the overall structure of soil, helping to hold moisture while keeping it airy enough for worms to breathe. In short, worms do enjoy grass, but only once it's mellowed out from its initial green fire. Now let's turn to weeds. At first glance, weeds might seem like poor candidates for worm food. They're often tough, fibrous, and armed with natural defenses like thorns, bitter saps, or waxy coatings. But here's the twist. Weeds are some of the most nutrient-dense plants in your yard. Many of them are deep-rooted, pulling minerals from way down in the subsoil where your vegetables can't reach. When these weeds die or decompose, those minerals are released back into the topsoil, right where worms and your garden plants can benefit from them. Think of dandelions, nettles, or even thistles. Though they're annoying above ground, beneath the surface they can be, well, gold mines of calcium, potassium, and other trace elements. Worms will eventually find their way to decomposing weeds, especially once those weeds are chopped, wilted, or mixed with softer greens. The variety of nutrients in weeds actually makes them a more balanced meal for worms compared to plain grass clippings. The fibrous stems may take longer to break down, but once softened, they become a rich, long-lasting food source. So which do worms really prefer, grass or weeds? Well, the honest answer is both, but, for different reasons. Grass is quick, easy, and soft, a bit like fast food for worms, giving them an immediate meal once it has cooled down. Weeds, on the other hand, are more like a slow-cooked stew, packed with minerals that benefit not just the worms, but your entire soil ecosystem over time. The key, really, is balance. If you have a pile made up of only grass clippings, it might mat down, go all slimy, and actually heat up too much for worms to handle. But if you've got just weeds, it might take ages to break down, and could even risk reseeding if you don't deal with it properly. But when you combine the two, layering that fast-decaying grass with slower, mineral-rich weeds, you end up creating the perfect buffet. Worms flock to this mixture, munching on the soft grass first, then gradually working their way through the weeds as they soften up. This balance encourages a thriving worm population, and in turn leads to rich, dark soil absolutely teeming with life. To put this into practice in your garden, try this simple method. After mowing your lawn, don't bag up those clippings for the trash. Instead, layer them into your compost pile, or bury small amounts directly into your raised beds. Then, when pulling weeds, chop them up and toss them in too. Just make sure to avoid weeds that have gone to seed unless you're hot composting, as you don't want to spread them later. Over the weeks, you'll notice worms concentrating in the areas where this mixture is buried. The soil will feel looser, more crumbly, and packed with worm castings. This is nature's fertilizer at its best, nutrient-dense, balanced, and completely free. In the bigger picture, the grass versus weeds debate shows us something important. Worms thrive on diversity. Just as humans need a varied diet to stay healthy, so do worms. By offering them both the quick energy of grass clippings and the mineral depth of weeds, you're not just feeding worms. You're building an ecosystem that will support your garden for years to come. So the next time you find yourself with a heap of grass clippings in one hand and a pile of weeds in the other, don't choose one over the other. Feed them both to your soil and let the worms decide. Chances are they'll thank you by multiplying, working harder, and leaving behind the richest black gold your garden has ever seen. If you found this helpful, make sure to hit that like button and share this video with a fellow gardener. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel for more worm-friendly gardening hacks and soil secrets every week. Together we'll keep building gardens that are alive, thriving, and full of nature's best little helpers.